Many people, thankfully, especially and often young people, but not only, want to do some kind of good in the world. I want to get rid of the corruption in my country as a politician. I want to um, promote educational reform, and so on and so forth. I want to make the world a better place, a more humane, a more human place. However, an individual who actually does attempt to do some good in the world quickly encounters is a great deal of resistance, such as could be attributed to, at least in part, and in this aspect, to what could be called vested interests. What are vested interests? On some level, vested interests are self interest or self interest, such as individuals or groups have in order to promote their own agendas. But going a little bit deeper, we could say that vested interests are what we can call when a person and or a group of people have attained to some subsidiary good and have ceased their pursuit of good and have declared that good to be, even if implicitly, absolute and final, or at least final for me. I at least can do no better. What does that mean? We say that as it concerns action, it may be tempting and it is very easy to um, imagine that some people do things in the pursuit of good, right? For example, in the pursuit of some sort of positive end, be it in light of an emotion, in light of satisfaction. And others do things for no reason or for bad reasons or for the sake of destruction for its own sake. That, however, or should we say, especially one's own enemies or people that one cannot sympathize with, and so on. That, however, is logically impossible because we cannot do something for no reason. We cannot favor a nothing, a negation, and pursue it. We can only pursue our apparent good, some sort of satisfaction of the self in a technical, broad way. And consequently, even those that do really dastardly deeds, poor things, meaning uh, atrocious things, are pursuing some sort of good. Now, that good can be something such as feelings of security, feelings of superiority, feelings of pleasure, but it is some sort of positive end, some sort of positive satisfaction that must need be sought would action for anybody be possible. So the issue then is not that some individuals pursue good, right, and other people pursue, in a technical sense, an absence of good. The issue rather would be that we quite often, most often, we stop in our pursuit of true good, of higher good, in favor of lower good, and we're unwilling to make the sacrifices needed to attain to that higher good. And not only that, but out of fear, right, out of um, trepidation that we shall lose the good that we do have, we quite often shut down our activities altogether and alienate ourselves and pit ourselves in our own little bit of good against perhaps the whole universe and all other people. What are some concrete examples? Let's say something such as um, take a hoarder, right? Take somebody that, a miserly hoarder, somebody that stacks up um, bars of gold or whatnot, somebody that stacks up, maybe not so dramatic, that's tough to find bars of gold per se, but stacks up different little goodies in their den, refuses to leave, to give anything to anybody, freaks out if there's some small scratch to anything and just kind of sits there and clutches their little riches or big riches. What is the good that such a person is pursuing? Well, for example, safety, security, right? And self-absolutization, because here I'm somebody, me and my little empire, in my imaginary empire, I'm a VIP, and these are my things, and this is mine. Fine. But the error here would be that a person takes this little tiny bit of good that they have, is this tiny little psychophysical critter, takes this little good, grasps it greedily, and then pits him or herself against the whole wide world, everybody else out there, whatever else all y'all are doing. I don't know. I don't care. This is my little patch. This is my stuff, and that's it. Right now, is this really the highest good that a human being can attain to? To just sit there and be a miserly hoarder? Respectfully, we're kind of just taking archetypes or whatnot. There's people that have problems. So just for the sake of this story, for the sake of the moral, and the answer would be no, that's not the highest good that a human being can attain to. A human being is, perhaps by definition, at least a little bit self-conscious. A human being feels deep within him or herself a need, a desire for some sort of tremendous good, for some sort of boundless good. Certainly not this little tiny bit of good which comes from possession and clinging and greediness and so on. No, having some such vested interest. I want to hold on to the stuff that I have hoarded. Everybody else can become an enemy so far as they threaten my vested interest. Let's say that there's an interest for public safety to disinfect some of the stuff that I have hoarded for some reason. We can say that's a greater good. We would have to work out the dynamics, but let's say it is so. There's a possibility of some kind of virus spreading from there. It's a greater good. But me, as the miserly hoarder, I have my vested interest to hold on to my stuff. I don't care about this greater good. I want my good. I want my little bit of self-satisfaction. Even more so, let's say that some sort of counselor sort encounters the greedy miser and says, you know, you're a human being, right? By nature, by species. You could be so much more than just a greedy miser. You can work on yourself ethically. You can reduce your self-centeredness. You can face yourself. You can confront your inner death and rot and whatnot, such as compels you to live like this, such the fruit of which is such a lifestyle, should we say, and be something more and attain to a greater good that now you cannot even imagine. In all likelihood, I, as this greedy little miser, I will refuse that. I have no idea what's being spoken of. I cannot conceive of the good that would come about in connection with my greater maturation. All that I know is that this is my stuff, and this is how I attain to some little bit of self-satisfaction, some little bit of security, safety, what have we. That's all that I know. That can serve as an appropriate parable for what vested interests are. We are born, we don't know anything, but soon enough, we're making our way in the world, and we find our little track, our little, should we say, territory, our little agendas, right, and interest, and we then stop more often than not, and we say, this is it. This is my highest good, whatever it might be. That might mean to make a profit doing whatever it is that I do, to remain in power as a politician, to have my property no matter what, right? To have a certain sum in the bank account no matter what. It could be anything. This is my good. There's nothing beyond it. Anything beyond it, I cannot conceive. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about it. And if I hear of it, it's just threatening to me, as opposed to hearing of, say, something like the venture of really being a human being, of really pursuing the highest good, the summum bonum, meaning the greatest good that is possible for a self-conscious, rational creature such as herself. If I, as some such patron of vested interest hear of some such possibility, that just scares me, right? That just threatens the good that I do have. He's speaking to me for about um, anything greater when I have this little bit here, right, in my greedy hands grasping it. So again, that could be, to connect it to the first point, that could be a reason why doing good is so hard in the world. Real good comes at the cost of sacrifice, or should we say higher good comes at the sacrifice of lower good, always. There's just no way around it. If I want to get the higher good, let's say, of getting a good grade on my test and contributing the possibilities of professional success as a student, I need to sacrifice, unless there's some kind of, other thing, cheating, rigged, whatever. Generally, if it's fair, I need to sacrifice the lower good of procrastination, of laziness. Same thing. I want to get in shape, higher good, health, longer life, more energy, feeling better. I need to sacrifice a bunch of lower goods, eating garbage, which feels good, being lazy, which can feel good, to stay in bed when I need to go work out and be active. It always works that way. We have to sacrifice the lower good for the sake of the higher good. But the higher good comes at a high cost, and it can only come around after a long time, often times of effort, after much sacrifice. And consequently, most often we opt for the lower good. We say, no, let me procrastinate. Right? Let me stick to this job, which doesn't really use my capacities to the fullest, but it's what I know, and it gives me money, right? And I need to pay the bills, don't I? And that's it. And 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the line, might still be doing that job. And overall, just with ourselves, yeah, I could be something more, perhaps, if I sacrificed my selfishness, my self-centeredness, but I don't know what that is. What I do know is I'm me, and this is what brings me comfort, and these are my desires, and these are my pleasures, and this is what I like and don't like, and this is who I hate, right? And this is what I need other people to be, and this is what I need the world to be, and that's that. So any kind of good, again, rather than being perceived as good, any kind of higher good, is very often, and we could say most often, perhaps by and large, perceived merely as a threat. It is perceived as a problem vis-a-vis the interests, the vested interests that I do have, vis-a-vis the apparent good, the smaller good that I have at present tried to appropriate. You see again that in theory, if, let's say, in question is a novelist and is writing the story of the world or of a fictional world, it can be so easy to have an amazing world in that story. All that would be required would be that everybody sacrifices their lower interest, their lower goods, their vested interests. All that would be required would be for example, each individual to say, I am willing to, so to say, die to self. I'm willing to cease to be this psychological, physiological creature and be something more and be something greater. I'm willing to destroy this corrupt government, right, as being a part of it, and have something that's fair and just and equitable to all citizens. I'm willing to stop producing products that are subpar, right, and lose a whole bunch of profit because I want the world to be a better place. If everybody did that, right, then the world would be very good very quickly, and everybody could strive towards that summum bonum, towards the highest human good, whatever that is, however it would be construed. We can say what it's not, which is pausing at any of these subsidiary goods. Right? And everybody would work together and it would be utopia. It would be great. But fortunately or unfortunately, we should say unfortunately, fortunately maybe because that's just how things are. Things are as they are. Let's say unfortunately, that's not how things are. That's not how things can be, at least by force, because each person chooses whether or not they will resign their lower goods. You can take the stuff from the greedy miser. The greedy miser will remain a greedy miser, even without his or her stuff. The stuff was just the fruit of it, the hoarding. That was just the sign of it. That's not the problem in itself. You can go and destroy corrupt governments, corporations, what have we. That doesn't do anything because the people in question remain what they are. They'll find other avenues to express who it is that I really am. You get the idea. So, such being so, it is easy to then become quote unquote pessimistic or nihilistic. I tried to do some good in the world, but I see the world is not interested in good. The world is comprised of a bunch of vested interests. The world is comprised of conglomerates such as cling to smaller subsidiary goods and do not know of nor want to hear about any greater goods. What's the point? Right? Too bad. And that's it. Well, we see that there is one person that we can perhaps convince to sacrifice the lesser for the greater. And that person would be our very own self. And that's the one person, indeed, who I need to primarily concern myself with. Instead of worrying that there's all these secret powers and vested interests that want who knows what can I do? Worry first and foremost about myself. If I am just as dedicated to lower good as are my alleged enemies, I won't really change anything. I'll just be part of the problem. Two sides of the same coin. I need to be dedicated to a higher good than that of those who I construe as being committed to a lower good. And if I do so, then by example, I can perhaps um, show that there is more to human life than low, vulgar, petty, vested interests, than lower subsidiary goods. But it always starts with myself, and consequently, instead of disappointment and pessimism at the extent of vested interests, such as oppose the higher good in the world, turn all of that frustration into motivation to change myself. Thank you for listening.